Jereboam Beauchamp hailed from Barron County, Kentucky, born in the year 1802. His early education under Dr. Benjamin Thurston ignited a passion for the legal realm, prompting him to embark on a study of law at the tender age of 8. It was during his time observing legal proceedings in Glasgow and Bowling Green that Beauchamp found himself captivated by the prowess of Solomon P. Sharp. Sharp's impressive credentials, including 2 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives, left a lasting impression on the young Beauchamp. However, Beauchamp's admiration for Sharp took a turn when allegations surfaced in 1820. A planter's daughter named Anna Cook accused Sharp of fathering her stillborn child, a claim vehemently denied by Sharp. Despite public sentiment siding with Sharp, Beauchamp grew disillusioned with his once admired legal figure. The scandal left Cook ostracized, retreating to seclusion at her mother's plantation near Bowling Green. Living merely a mile away from Cook's estate, Beauchamp's curiosity led him to seek acquaintance with her. Under the guise of borrowing books from her library, Beauchamp gradually earned Cook's trust through his visits. By the summer of 1821, a friendship blossomed between the two, evolving into a courtship. At the young age of 18, Beauchamp found himself enamored, while Cook, at least 34, reciprocated his affections. However, as their courtship progressed, Cook laid down a chilling condition for their union. Beauchamp must eliminate Solomon P. Sharp, a demand he disturbingly accepted, expressing his own desire to dispatch Sharp. In the prevailing culture, an honor killing through a duel was the preferred method to settle such disputes. Despite Cook's warning that Sharp would refuse such a challenge, Beauchamp ventured to Frankfort to confront him. Sharp, recently appointed as the state's attorney general, found himself at the receiving end of Beauchamp's aggression during their encounter, which reportedly ended with Sharp fleeing the scene. Beauchamp, undeterred, lingered in Frankfort, anticipating a duel that never materialized, as Sharp had already left for Bowling Green. Undeterred by Beauchamp's failed attempt, Cook resolved to take matters into her own hands. She devised a scheme to lure Sharp to her plantation in Bowling Green, under the pretense of reconciliation. However, Sharp's suspicion led him to decline the invitation, avoiding a potential trap. Despite their efforts, Sharp remained elusive, frustrating Beauchamp's plans for retribution. Determined to await Sharp's return, Beauchamp established a legal practice in Bowling Green, anticipating the day when his nemesis would revisit the town. However, Sharp's return never came to fruition, leaving Beauchamp in a state of perpetual anticipation. Despite Beauchamp's failure to fulfill Cook's demand, she eventually married him in mid-June of 1824. Yet, Beauchamp's obsession with avenging Cook's honor persisted. Resorting to covert tactics, he began a correspondence with Sharp, luring him into discussing a fictitious land claim. Sharp, wary but unsuspecting, replied to Beauchamp's letters, although he remained elusive about his future whereabouts. Abandoning the notion of a duel, Beauchamp devised a plan to assassinate Sharp and implicate his political adversaries. Arriving in Frankfort on November 6, 1825, Beauchamp struggled to secure accommodation and eventually found lodging at the residence of Joel Scott, the penitentiary warden. In the early hours of November 7th, donning a disguise, Beauchamp hid his clothing near the Kentucky River and proceeded to Sharp's residence. Although initially absent, Sharp was later located at a local hotel. Beauchamp waited nearby until Sharp returned home around midnight. Approaching Sharp's house at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, Beauchamp, wearing a mask, confronted Sharp at the door. After a brief exchange, Beauchamp revealed his identity and swiftly attacked Sharp, fatally wounding him. The wound severed Sharp's aorta, killing him almost instantly. Sharp's wife witnessed the gruesome scene from upstairs as Beauchamp fled the scene. Returning to retrieve his concealed clothing, Beauchamp disposed of his disguise in the river and retreated to his lodgings, where he remained until morning. Upon learning of Sharp's murder, the Kentucky General Assembly empowered the governor to offer a $3,000 reward for the capture and conviction of the perpetrator. The city of Frankfort's trustees added $1,000 to the reward, and Sharp's friends raised an additional $2,000. Suspicion initially fell on 3 individuals: Beauchamp, Waring, and Darby. Darby, during Sharp's 1824 campaign, had ominously remarked that Sharp would never take his seat if elected, implying his demise. A warrant was issued for Waring's arrest, but he was incapacitated from gunshot wounds sustained the day before Sharp's murder. When Darby found himself under suspicion, he conducted his own investigation. His inquiries led him to Captain John F. Lowe, who claimed Beauchamp had divulged intricate details about the assassination plot. Lowe also provided Darby with a letter containing incriminating statements by Beauchamp. Following the murder, Beauchamp spent nights in Bloomfield, Bardstown, and Bowling Green before returning home to Glasgow. Plans to flee to Missouri with Anna were thwarted when a posse from Frankfort arrived to apprehend him before nightfall. Beauchamp was detained in Frankfort and appeared before an examining court, where Commonwealth's attorney Charles S. Bibb deemed the evidence insufficient for detention. Despite being released, Beauchamp agreed to remain in Frankfort for further investigation. He sought legal assistance from John J. Crittenden and George M. Bibb, receiving no response. Meanwhile, his uncle, a state senator, assembled a defense team, including former U.S. Senator John Pope. During the investigation, attempts to match a knife taken from Beauchamp to Sharp's wounds and a footprint near Sharp's house were inconclusive. Critical evidence, like a bloody handkerchief found at the crime scene, was lost during the return trip to Frankfort. The prosecution's strongest testimony came from Sharp's wife, Eliza, who identified Beauchamp's voice as that of the killer. Darby testified that Beauchamp had sought his legal aid in suing Sharp in 1824 and had expressed intentions to kill Sharp, even in public. Eliza Sharp's and Darby's testimonies led city magistrates to hold Beauchamp for trial during the circuit court's next session in March of 1826. Beauchamp's trial commenced on May 8, 1826, following his indictment. Despite pleading not guilty, Beauchamp opted not to testify during the proceedings. Captain Lowe, summoned as a witness, reiterated the account that he had previously shared with Patrick Darby about Beauchamp's intentions to kill Sharp. Lowe also testified that after the murder, Beauchamp returned home brandishing a red flag, proclaiming victory. Additionally, he presented a letter from the Beauchamps concerning the murder. In the letter, Beauchamp professed his innocence, but alleged that his adversaries were conspiring against him. He implored Lowe to testify on his behalf, providing him with various points to mention, some of which were accurate, while others were not. Eliza Sharp reiterated her identification of Beauchamp's voice as that of the murderer. Joel Scott, who provided Beauchamp with lodging on the night of the murder, testified that he heard Beauchamp depart during the night and return later. Scott also noted Beauchamp's intense curiosity about the crime when informed of it the following morning. Darby provided extensive testimony recalling his meeting with Beauchamp in 1824. According to Darby, Beauchamp alleged that Sharp had initially offered him and Anna $1,000, a slave girl, and 200 acres of land to cease their involvement, which Sharp later withdrew. During the closing arguments, defense counsel John Pope attempted to discredit Darby, resulting in a physical altercation. Despite the lack of physical evidence, including a murder weapon, the jury reached a guilty verdict after only an hour of deliberation on May 19th, following a 13-day trial. Beauchamp was sentenced to be hanged on June 16, 1826. During the trial, Anna Beauchamp sought assistance from John Waring on her husband's behalf and tried to persuade John Lowe to commit perjury in support of Beauchamp. Both requests were denied. On May 20th, Anna was investigated on suspicion of being an accessory to the murder, but was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. At her request, Anna was allowed to remain in Beauchamp's cell. Although Pope's appeal to overturn the verdict was rejected, the judge granted Beauchamp a stay of execution until July 7th to provide a written justification for his actions. In his statement, Beauchamp claims he had killed Sharp to defend Anna's honor. The Beauchamps faced accusations of attempting to bribe a guard to facilitate their escape, but this endeavor proved unsuccessful. They also made an unsuccessful attempt to send a letter to Senator Beauchamp, seeking his aid in their escape. Their last resort was a plea to Governor Desha for a further stay of execution, which was denied on July 5th. Later that day, the couple made a desperate bid for a double suicide by ingesting large quantities of laudanum. Despite their efforts, both survived the attempt. On the morning of July 7th, the day scheduled for Beauchamp's execution, Anna requested privacy from the guards as she dressed. Despite her weakened state, Anna attempted another overdose of laudanum, which she couldn't keep down. Having smuggled a knife into their cell, the couple then made a final, desperate attempt at double suicide by stabbing themselves. When discovered, Anna was promptly taken to the jailer's residence and attended to by doctors. Beauchamp, weakened by his injuries, was transported on a cart towards the gallows, to be hanged before succumbing to his wounds. Despite his condition, he insisted on seeing his wife before his execution. However, upon reaching her, he realized the severity of her condition and was unable to converse with her. He remained by her side until her passing, bidding her farewell with a poignant declaration of his devotion. Beauchamp publicly absolved Darby of any involvement in the murder, but accused him of fabricating details about their 1824 meeting. Darby refuted these allegations, attempting to engage Beauchamp in discussion to clarify the matter, but Beauchamp directed the cart to proceed to the gallows. At the gallows, Beauchamp informed the clergy present of his religious conversion the day before. Too frail to stand unaided, he was supported by 2 men while the noose was secured around his neck. As a final request, Beauchamp asked for the 22nd Regiment musicians to play Bonaparte's Retreat from Moscow, while 5,000 onlookers witnessed his execution, marking the first legal hanging in Kentucky's history. Beauchamp's father requested that both his son and daughter-in-law's bodies be returned for burial. Honoring the couple's wish, they were interred together in a single coffin, embracing as they had requested. Their final resting place was Maple Grove Cemetery in Bloomfield, Kentucky, marked by a tombstone inscribed with a poem penned by Anna Beauchamp. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to join our community. We upload every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. For more content like this, be sure to check out our other videos on the channel. You can also follow us on our other social media platforms for uploads and updates. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.